Hey audience, welcome to Is That an Emergency? Today we'll be looking at 3 scenarios for you to decide, is that a financial emergency? Scenario 1.
Mom, Dad, I think we need new clothes for school.
Scenario 2.
Yeah,
What'd you give this to me for?
because Christmas is next week.
It's okay, I have the emergency fund. Scenario 3.
Nothing to eat. I'm tired. Pizza.
Alright guys, are you curious about why those weren't true emergencies? What is an emergency fund? We're going to be talking about that today. Here we go. Hey guys, we are Jay and Jen with Empower People, Empower Change, where we are all about helping you live a successful life when it comes to your money and having a plant-based lifestyle. Now today we're talking about the emergency fund. Before we run through these scenarios, let's establish what an emergency fund is. Put simply, an emergency fund is money set aside for a particular set of unexpected circumstances or an occurrence that you didn't plan for, you couldn't plan for. The emergency fund is purposeful.
Yes.
It's not just random savings put to the side for whatever comes up, but you actually allocate a certain amount, like I'm gonna put this amount just for an emergency. All right, now we're gonna talk about the scenarios that you just saw.
Scenario number 1. Kids. Why isn't a kid growing in emergency? I hope you really clearly got that fairly fast here. If you know your child is going to grow, that is not an emergency. You should be prepared beforehand so that you can just pull that money out of your cash envelopes and utilize that money to buy new clothes. Think about how fast and how quickly and how long kids grow for. Please be prepared.
It's like hair. You know your hair is gonna grow, so hopefully you're putting some money to the side in your budget for a barber or a stylist, or maybe you do it yourself and that's cool too.
Yes.
But we're just saying be prepared because you know those things are gonna happen.
Yes, they will happen.
Next thing is Christmas. We talked about this in another video, okay? Christmas is just one of many scenarios of those things that come up once a year. You know, you can have your kid's birthday.
Yes.
Thank God he made it another year, but now where are you gonna get the money for the gifts from? You knew this was coming.
Not an emergency.
But think about those things. Maybe even get a calendar out. Okay, what are those yearly expenses that we have that we know that are not going to be an emergency that we can prepare more responsibly, more effectively for?
Yes, and it just helps you not to make your bills a disaster. When those things, those expected yearly things come around.
Other scenario we're going to talk about is pizza or little snacks or restaurants that just eat your money
Mommy,
up.
I want this, Mommy, I want that.
Money, you know, and it's difficult sometimes, you know.
And I feel you women out there. When you get home late from work.
Or men,
yes.
too.
Excuse me. When you get home late from work, you're tired, there's nothing in the fridge, and you want to go ahead and just order out pizza. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that, but maybe you need to have an envelope with some cash in it already prepared for pizza, because when you start digging into that emergency fund, it's going to keep happening, and you're going to keep making excuse after excuse. So you really don't want to be loose about emergency fund for food anytime, because it's going to become, again, a disaster.
Yeah. So your emergency fund, again, it's purposeful.
Yes.
It's not for investing. That's not what this is for. Because, you know, your emergency is pretty guaranteed to happen. You're going to have something somewhere that goes wrong, unfortunately. It's just part of life.
And like I always say, if you have a pulse, you're most likely going to have an emergency.
So some examples of true emergencies.
True emergencies.
Would be like maybe you can't cover a complete deductible of something crazy happened to your house.
Absolutely.
Medical bill
Yeah.
that you didn't foresee would be a good example.
Deductibles.
Car repair, you can have that set aside ahead of time. However, maybe all of your car repair budget this time couldn't cover the whole complete car repair.
Yeah. Now let me give you a real life story.
Real life.
Real life.
Not talking about practice, not practice.
Not practice. The real game. All right. So before we actually took a financial class, we were just living chaotic all over the place. And if an emergency happened, we were just pulling out of the bank and our bills became a hot mess. So when we actually finally established an emergency fund, I remember very distinguishedly, our car broke down. And
isn't that a shock?
no, right? Cars aren't made to last forever. So when our car broke down, we actually had car repair money, but we also had our emergency fund in place. And when the car broke down, it wasn't, oh my gosh, where are we gonna get this money from? Stress, worry, you know us women, you know how we be sometimes. It was, we had enough and we got the car fixed. It was such a peaceful experience, I can't even explain it. So that's exactly what we want for all of you out there, to have that peaceful experience of when something goes haywire. So we hope that you're very clear about what is an emergency and what is not an emergency, to help you be successful in the future and to stay empowered.
Now, to know why you should save for an emergency, okay, besides what we already give you, because there's a deeper reason and something really important that you have to understand. Go ahead and watch our video that explains more why you should save for an emergency and also how much you should save for an emergency. All right, hopefully we'll see you guys in the next video. If you don't know us, go ahead and subscribe so you can get more content like this. Goodbye.